Hey, so this past week I went up to Oregon for a college buddy's wedding. It was a beautiful wedding right in Hood River and about like an hour out of Portland, I would say, but very serene, very nice. Had a great time catching up and seeing some good friends. But it was a very quick trip. I was in LA on Thursday, drove back to Vegas on Friday night, then went to Oregon at like 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. So, very hectic time. And that leads me to today's topic, which is traveling with your partner. I think this is one of the most important things that you can do, that you need to do before getting into a serious relationship with someone. It really tells a lot about a person. If you don't travel well with them, it can things can get scary, especially you're in a place where you typically aren't in control. There's a lot of external factors that can come into play, and if you do not travel well with someone else, it can get bad. But thankfully, my fiance and I travel very well together. We ran into a few hiccups along the way there on this past trip. They were very minor, but overall, it went very good. So the first thing that kind of happened was, mind you, we are doing this on very limited sleep, and we are big sleep people. We need like 7 to 8 hours every night. And like I said, we were traveling from LA to Vegas on, what was it? Friday night. So we got back in at like, 11, and then had to pack, shower, leave for the airport at 4:30. So we got like maybe 5 hours of sleep. Like not even. We were stressed. There was a lot going on. We had to unpack, pack. But so the first little communication there was checking bags. So we don't really have luggage. We just have like these duffel bags. It was a 1 day trip. I just had a suit because I was in the wedding, and she had her dress and like maybe two other outfits. One for the plane on the way back, and then just like a jeans casual outfit. But so there was miscommunication about whether we were checking bags or not, and we both just have these duffels that can fit as a carry-on. We get to the airport. I immediately start gunning it for the TSA where like you get scanned, right? And she's like, "What are you doing? Don't we have to go check our bags?" And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't anticipating on checking these two bags. We definitely can. Would you like to do this?" And she's like, "No, no, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. Like, I just thought we were. I thought that's why we got Southwest opposed to shitty Spirit." And I was like, "No, let's just do it, right? It's not a big deal. We're just gonna put everything above. It's one bag. Portland Airport's fairly small. It's not like we're lugging this all over the place. It's not a big deal." She's like, "All right, no worries, never mind. It's fine." So we get to security check, and I make it through, and then immediately she gets flagged. And I was like, fuck, like what is in her bag? And then so it takes a while. There's only one guy, and everyone's bags are getting flagged. And so this guy starts digging through her bag and pulls out this massive, massive like Cetaphil lotion. Like it is like this big. It's fucking massive, right? And I just look at her. I'm like, "What do you like? You thought you could bring this onto the plane?" And she's like, "I forgot I had that in there," because she thought she was checking the bag. So immediately, like the guy's just holding it up, and he's like, "Hey, like you can't have this." Like he's looking at us like we're idiots, like we've never flown before. And immediately I'm like, "Hey, throw it out. Just get rid of it. It doesn't matter." She's like, we're only here for 1 day, right? And half the time we're on a plane or in a van driving. And she's like, "No, listen, like that's my only lotion for the whole weekend." And like mind you, the wedding is the same day, and we're flying home the very next morning. But she says, I can't live without this lotion. So she's like, "Hey, like I need it. I need to go check my bag." So the security guard walks her all the way back to check her bag. And now this really only took like 10 to 15 minutes. Really wasn't a big deal at all. And I was just like, okay, like it's fine. Everything's fine. The worst is behind us, right? Like if this is the worst thing that happens running on 4 hours of sleep, I am golden, right? I come in with very low expectations saying something's going to go wrong along the way. If this is it, this is great. We're in no rush. We got plenty of time. It's okay. So finally she comes back with the guy. She's all happy and everything's good. And then so we get to the gate. And the TV on the gate says there's a flight boarding before ours. It's going to like Sacramento or something. It has Sacramento, then it says Portland. So we go sit down at the gate, like just two open chairs at the gate next to our gate, and we've got like, I don't know, 30 minutes probably. So she opens up her computer. I sit back. I close my eyes because I'm extremely tired, and she tells me it's fine. Like, close your eyes, get some rest, and we'll be good. I'm gonna stay up for a second. Like she's gonna be on watch essentially. Then suddenly I wake up to an announcement for final boarding for our flight to Oregon, and I fucking pop up like I am just like, and I just immediately look at her, and she can see the rage that is in my eyes, right? She like, I just immediately like grab my shit. I know that she's behind me. We take off. We go straight to the gate. We log in and everything. Like get the thing. We're rolling down the little ramp, and then we like the plane isn't full, which is very good, right? Thank God. But we end up taking like the very last two seats in the plane. Nobody sits next to us, which is fine. Again, not a huge deal. But we sit down, and my heart is just racing. Like I can't believe, like we almost missed this. And she just looks at me like she is just upset with herself. And she's like, listen, I am so sorry. I didn't hear it. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Everything worked out. Like I said before, if this is the worst thing that happens, it's gonna be all right, right? It's okay. But I'm just like looking at her like what the hell? And I think so. We talked about it actually, like why, what, like two kind of little spacey little things on her end, right? That happened in this 1 hour time period, and I was like, you were just living by yourself for 3 weeks. Like what happened? You're so independent. What is going on? And she's like, I think when we're traveling, she puts full trust in me that we're going to get to the destination. She like goes on autopilot essentially and is just like kind of like along for the ride. And for me, because I'm like, I got tickets, I'm taking care of bags, I've got, if you need food, I'll get you food. Like I am fully in tracking time. Where's the plane at? What are we doing? Where's the gate? I am in full leadership mode here. And she's just kind of along for the ride. But anyways, it was pretty funny. I am truly lucky to have such a good travel partner. These were two very minor things. I don't want him to sound bad. I made her feel bad, which I feel bad about. But she's very actually easy to travel with. Really, you just get her some French fries, and she's good to go. For me, I just want like a smart water, which I think is the pinnacle of a travel water. It's a slim bottle. It's big enough. It's aesthetic. It's nice. It's a good water. It's smooth. I'm sure like other people would say like a Fiji is a more like aesthetic looking water, but a Fiji's too small. It's like 2 sips and you're done. A smart water you're looking good. But if I can get a smart water in like a resealable bag that has like a bite-sized candy in it, done. I'm good to go. So yeah, you get her some French fries, a little bit of ranch. If they have like a house ranch, wow, she is on cloud 9. She's sitting in her chair and she's ready to go. But we went to Europe actually together when we were 18 years old. It was a high school trip, and there was like a group of 20 of us. And at the time, we weren't together. We were just friends, but we basically stuck with each other the entire trip. It was very rare if we weren't near each other or hanging out with each other on this trip. And I just remembered, compared to a lot of different people on the trip, that she was just so easygoing and fun to be around and rarely complained when we were on like these 5 to 8 hour long bus rides. We had similar taste in music. We still kind of do. She got me into like, I mean, I'm not really into it, but like she like exposed me to like country music at the time. So like we went through like all of Blake Shelton's albums and things like that. But so very easy to travel with, and that's I was like, wow, this is so nice. And traveling with your significant partner before things really get serious is like a must do, in my opinion. You're generally seeing this person typically at their worst. They're tired, they're stressed, they're anxious, they're head to toe in loungewear. And if you don't like this person during all of this with what's going on, then it's most likely not going to last, in my opinion. Now, like destinations, I think can be a different story. For example, like I think a good vacation is like going to a big city, touring around, and hers is like a beach setting. Like she went to Mexico as a kid. She wants to go to a beach on our honeymoon. If we ever decide to take a day off of work and school, and we'll go on a honeymoon. But yeah, so she like there's like small things like that, but we can definitely always come to a compromise. It's never a problem of what we're going to do. We always end up typically like doing whatever we want to do together, and it turns out really good. Like if we go to a big city, then like sure we can find a relaxing thing to do somewhere, or if we do go to the beach, I'm good. Like one night, let's go down to Main Street and walk around where there's a farmer's market or a lot of people, things like that. But there are so many things that can really tell a lot about a person when you are traveling, especially on a plane. I think like, do they need to be the first one to jump up and grab their carry-ons when the plane lands? Like, this is just so infuriating to me, and I find it to be like the person's very impatient. Like immediately the plane lands and you hear the bell and seat buckles go off and people just shoot up, and it's like, where are you? Like you're not going anywhere. Like there's no benefit to you freaking out right now. So just like stay calm, stay in your seat. Let's have a conversation. How was your flight? What, like, did you see that person? Did you see what happened? We talk about observations. Did this fucking baby in 6 rows in front of us didn't shut the fuck up? How did you feel about it? What did you listen to? What did you watch? Blah blah blah. Take that time to decompress, whatever. Now, when like another thing is like when traveling in Southwest, are they calm enough to let the person with ticket A45 go ahead of them in line if you are A50? This is something I have a major problem with. Like when you line up for Southwest and it's like A1 through 30 and then what is it, 30 through 60, right? Let's say. And everyone's lining up, everyone's looking at their tickets, they're looking around at each other, you're in a packed area, you got carry-ons, you got backpacks, purses, kids, people in wheelchairs, there's 3 nuns in the front along with 6 army guys. There's a lot going on, right? And people are like, I'm A45, what are you? I'm A33, I need to be in front of you. Like for me, it's like let me just be in my A line and I'm fine. Like I will be a fucking 60. I know I'm getting a seat. I'm going to be okay. But when people are like, if I'm A50 and they're like one time, here, I'll just go into an example. One time I was traveling for work and I don't know, let's say I'm A30, right? Let's just say that. And I'm standing all the way back by like A60. And the person in front of me says like, what are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm A35. And she's like, I'm A like 59. So she's behind me. And she's like, you need to be up there. I'm like, listen, I don't, right? It doesn't matter. It's not important to me. And she's like, no, like, and she's making a huge deal out of it. And I'm just like, God, like you need to mind your own fucking business. Like this doesn't fucking matter. And I'm not being rude to her, but it's like really mind your own fucking shit. You know, I'm actually helping you out in this sense because you're behind me and I'm currently behind you. Like I'm helping you find a better seat, so you shouldn't be bitching about this right now. But if the person kind of freaks out like that, it drives me insane. You need to be calm enough to understand that like small things like this when traveling doesn't matter. Another example is, are they independent enough to spend a few hours on their own listening to music or entertaining themselves in some way? I'm a pretty quiet person. I'm a quiet traveler. I just want to throw in headphones. I want to sleep. I want to just put my head back and not really do anything. I don't really want to conversate too much. And like if I'm ever traveling alone and someone starts talking to me, no. Like just no. This is a version of hell for me. And thankfully, like my fiance is very independent in the sense of she immediately just throws her headphones on and she's good to go. I don't have to worry about her. We'll occasionally like I'm totally fine with every, let's say, like 15, 20, 30 minutes, like takes her headphones off, has a conversation, talks something small about what we're seeing, what we have planned, anything like that. Did we forget to do this? Whatever. It's fine. Whatever. All good. Throws her headphones back on. She's good to go. I'll even like out of courtesy, like you can have the aisle, you can have the window seat. I'll take middle seat. Just try to be a little independent, and it's a good flight. So I really look for that in a travel partner. I want them to have some sort of independence in the sense of entertaining themselves. That's why I think like traveling with kids is probably a nightmare, and I view it as like I would never take a baby on a plane. I just don't know how I could possibly do that. I hate it so much, and having to entertain a baby and not make a big commotion if they're crying and like all of that would be horrible to me. It's just like I hate it. I can't stand it, and I do not look forward to that part of my life if I ever have to like travel with a kid that's under the age of 3. So anyways, because of the topic, I thought I'd look up some tips for traveling with your partner and go through them. And I got this from the Washington Post. It's the completely correct guide to traveling with a significant other. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Now, I really don't travel with her a lot. This is just because we basically went on like a 4-hour road trip together and then just flew together at the same time too. But we travel maybe like, I don't know, 2 to 3 times a year at most. But we are planning a honeymoon, so and we have been on long trips together, but I've experienced a lot of traveling with her. So the first one is start small. This is obviously a great idea. When we first started dating, we went on road trips together to California, only like a 4-hour drive for us, so very small amount of time, and it was like weekend trips. It wasn't anything big, but this is really where you could start like feeling the person out, how they react to certain things, how well did they do on a 4-hour drive? Are you having to stop every 5 seconds? Can they listen to your music? Can you listen to their music? What are your similar interests? If they're constantly complaining the whole time, that's obviously a red flag. Things like this. So start small is definitely a good tip. The next one, be transparent about your budget beforehand. This is kind of interesting. I'm a very frugal person, and because we've been together for, I don't know, like 8 years now, she knows this, and she knows like we'll never have like major, massive, blow your money type of vacations, but I do tend to spend a little more on a vacation. Like I'm down to throw in a little more money if it's gonna drastically increase our positivity or our experience on the trip. I don't have a problem doing that. So I think there's a relatively good line that we both are aware of okay, like if this is going to help our experience or this is really going to bring us a little bit more happiness, like yeah, let's do it. But I'm not going to be just blowing money for no reason. Neither of us are like big drinkers, so we're not like going out and like blowing a bunch of money at like the bar or like crazy night owl type stuff. So it's usually stuff during the day, or let's go to a good restaurant. Let's get some good food while we're here. Like, let's experience what we can. But yeah. The next one is make a wish list together. I think this is good. Typically, when we're traveling, we're like, hey, like if we do have some free time, what do you want to do? We talk about this beforehand. Let's see what's in the area. Let's see what's going on. and we'll make compromises, see what we want to do, and then based off of we're not like planning to the sense of like we're getting tickets and stuff beforehand, but it's like I think we went to San Francisco together one time when we were in college, and it was like, well, what are we gonna do? Well, let's walk around, let's see what's by our hotel, let's see what good food is around us. I think we ended up going to a museum. We did like a ferry ride, but it's fairly like open ended. Like we went to what is it like Pier 50 something, but we were, like hung out there and then we found things to do in that area. So I think we keep it pretty general, but we make overall wish lists of places we like to go, and then from there we jump in and see what it's like. Next one is to discuss your preferred travel styles. This is, for example, like carry-ons, things like that. Would you want to drive? Would you want to go on a plane? Hang on, sorry. I need to. There's nothing like making your own coffee, in my opinion. This is a treat that I give myself every morning. I do a pour over coffee and get like, I go to Mothership Coffee in Vegas and get a bag of coffee. And man, it just makes your morning. The smell of it, the process of it, and it only takes like 10 minutes, but it's worth it. And I don't have to spend like a shit ton of money on like every day going out to get coffee. Man, okay. So discussing your preferred travel style. So, like I said, car, plane. For this one, for example, this past trip we went on, a big thing was, uh, do we get like Spirit tickets on the plane or do we get Southwest? And for me, I was like a preferred travel style. I said I'm not dealing with the hassle of Spirit. I know we're going to be stressed out. We're going to be low on sleep. The flight's just going to get delayed. I know it's going to happen. Let's spend a few extra bucks and go get Southwest tickets. I really don't mind. Like that is something I can afford. That's why I work hard, is because I want to be able to improve experiences, right? Like I want to be able, and I'm not like saying like this is like first class, right? Like I'm not there. I'm not at that level, but I know I'm better than a Spirit. I've made it to the point in my life where I don't need to fly Spirit, in my opinion. And when we were coming back, actually, the Spirit flight that we would have been on got delayed by like 5 hours, I want to say. A friend of ours who was at the wedding got the Spirit flight, and yeah, his flight got delayed 2 hours, and then it got completely canceled, and he had to get an Alaska flight, and we landed on our Southwest flight, and I'm getting all these notifications that this happened, and I'm just like, you know what? Thank you, previous Julian, for making this decision. You made the right decision. I am 30 minutes from home now, and I have work tomorrow. This worked out. It is worth the extra $200. Like I am so happy that I did that. But yeah, discussing your preferred travel styles is big. I think if you're willing to spend a little more, I think it's worth it. The carry-on thing was a little hiccup this past trip for us, but it ended up working out okay. It really wasn't that bad. So on the next trip that we do make, like I will probably invest in luggage. I think that's another thing. Like we only have these duffel bags. We've never really had like roller luggage, so that's kind of I think my next like travel splurge is getting us some good luggage, that because we deserve it. You know, I'm 28 years old. I think I don't need to be lugging around Adidas duffel bag anymore. Like I can get some luggage. Next tip is manage expectations and embrace compromise. I think this is huge. I love compromise. That's where I thrive. And managing expectations is what it's all about in traveling. Things are going to go wrong. You need to expect that. You need to embrace that. That's just going to happen. There are so many external factors that you are not in control of. So you just need to make the best of the decision, or the best of the moment, and really make good decisions on the fly. I think that's crucial too. You can't just be sitting around. Like you need to be able to, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to adapt. And like I said, going into this trip when I know exhaustion is like going to happen to us. Going to the airport knowing, okay, something is going to go wrong today. Let it happen, and we're going to get through it. If As long as I make it to the wedding, like that's really the number one goal. If I make it on time to the wedding, everything's going to work out. That's really the only reason I'm doing this. I need to be there for my friend, and we'll be good to go. And you know what? Everything worked out. Some small things happened. Uh, I looked over her at her and I was like, "Listen, it's okay. We planned for this. That's why we go to the airport early. Everything's fine." Next one is take some alone time. I think this is kind of like what I was saying about the independence thing when sitting on a plane. Alone time is big. You don't need to be up the other person's ass the entire time you're traveling with a significant other. I think on a longer trip, it's more imperative for you to find this alone time. You can get annoyed easily if you're like with someone for too long, I think. Let's say if we don't have something going on during the weekend and we're just at home, like I if we spend the entire day together, like something is bound to happen where one of us is going to get annoyed with something. So spending an hour to 2 hours alone is, I think, is good. It's healthy. It's what you need to do, and then you come back and you do the rest of your trip, do the rest of your day. But it's a healthy thing, I think, especially when traveling. Next one is factor in jet lag, exhaustion, and stress if arguments arise. I think this is really a good one too. So when I went to LA at the start of this, I had to go to LA early because there was a big problem with her Airbnb that she was renting out for this rotation. So she was supposed to have the Airbnb through like Saturday, I think, but then there was a plumbing issue, and the landlord's like, "Listen, you need to get out by Thursday at 11 a.m." And I'm like, "Hey, like I wasn't planning on getting there on Thursday until like 4:30." And we're talking to the guy. There's nothing he could do. He says, "You need to be out by 11." So I'm like, "Okay, I need to adapt. What am I going to do? I'm going to leave Vegas at like 5 a.m. so that I can get there by 10, move everything out by 11." And like massive inconvenience, right? But it's okay. So we end up doing that. I leave at what, 5 a.m. Yeah, I leave at 5 a.m. and get to UCLA, grab her keys really quick, find a parking spot, unload the Airbnb with all her stuff, and then by 11, like completely out. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Now I have like, I don't know, 5 hours to kill. Worked on editing a podcast, sat in a coffee shop, had a good day, right? But I was exhausted. And so then she gets off work, she comes to meet me, and then we're like, okay, we need to go check into the new motel. Now I haven't seen her in 3 weeks, but I'm pretty fucking grumpy. I have been up for super long. I just drove 4 hours. I unloaded all this shit in a hot day. I'm not the best version of me. I'm so happy to see her, right? But I'm exhausted. Like I'm tired. I'm just not in a good mood. I was around a lot of people all day. I really need to shower. I smell bad. Um, anyway, so instantly we get to the motel and we just crash for like 2 hours. We just lay down on the bed, fall asleep, and then wake up, and we're in such a better mood together that we're like, hey, let's go get some food. Like, let's talk about what you've been experiencing the last 3 weeks. And then we really dive into her conversation and like her experience and what she's been going through. But I think if I wouldn't have been like upfront and be like, hey, I'm really exhausted right now. Like we need to take some time just to decompress. We would have gotten into an argument. Something would have happened. I would have been very like snappy, I guess. But so yeah, factoring in exhaustion of travel, I think is huge. It really can make or break the beginning or an end of a travel experience. You need to factor in this time. And coming towards the end, so this is the last tip, but it's regroup afterward. And I think this is a good one. For us, it's usually like whenever we go out or she goes out or we go out with friend groups, come back from a trip, we like to we essentially gossip with each other, and we're like, can you believe this happened? It's like when you go to a family uh, party or a dinner or something, and on the really what you look forward to is that drive home of, can you believe what this person said or how this person looked, whatever. It's the gossip that is what I live for. I love, because we're the same person, we're incredibly sarcastic and just stupid. But yeah, regrouping after, I think, is a really fun way to kind of round out a trip. Like together, we're sitting at the airport, flying back to Vegas, waiting for our plane, and we're scrolling through a shared album that all of our friends are in, and talking about it, and talking about one kid in the wedding passed out, and all this, or the drinking memory. We had to cross a highway to get to this dive bar, and can you believe this person was so fucked up and whatever. But it was, and this girl had blue hair at the wedding, and like it was just, so you can just talk about all this random shit that you experienced that you didn't really get to catch up with. And I think it's very therapeutic. It's a good way to round out any trip that you go on. But so yeah, those are the traveling partner tips. We won't be traveling, I don't think, for a minute. She's going to another rotation in LA in September, but for me, I'm much more of a homebody. We're just gonna chill at home for a little bit, hang out. I think it's good for us. We are going through a lot of work, hectic stuff right now, and school stuff on her end, so it's good that we just get back into this little kind of routine, start planning our wedding as well. I think that really was a big kickstart for me, seeing their wedding and experiencing that. And now I'm like, okay, I've got 5 months to really get going on stuff I need to get going on. But very good trip overall. I gave her a lot of shit, but I love traveling with her. She is a great travel partner. Finding a good travel partner, I think, is key in any relationship. So yeah, I'm not one to give relationship advice ever. But yeah, if you're happy when all of these things are going wrong, when the person is head to toe in a gray loungewear set and they're anxious and upset or exhausted, and you're still able to love them, then yes, you've found something special. But that is all I have for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you have found a good travel partner. If you don't, definitely look up some more tips. There's actually a lot of tips out there I didn't realize. It's kind of funny looking at them. I didn't realize so many people wrote about this, but I'm sure there are a lot of crazy stories about traveling with partners. But yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it, and see you next time.